Plaintiff Peggy Wagner is suing her brothers-in-law, Pat and Phelan Wagner, for property she says the defendant stole from her husband after he died. Peggy claims she has been disgusted with her husband's brothers ever since they swept in to take her dying husband's property. But the Wagners say the plaintiff's husband told them he wanted them to have his property.
Peggy Wagner is suing Patrick Wagner and Phelan Wagner, her brothers-in-law, for stolen property. How are you, Peggy?
I'm pretty good, thank you, ma'am.
And who are you?
Amber Wagner.
Amber, how are you? How old are you, Amber?
I'm 20.
Okay, good. All right, Peggy, talk to me. Why are we here today?
Your Honor, first of all, I'd like to show you a photo of my husband who passed away September 18th of 2002 of brain cancer. 2008, I'm sorry.
2008?
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
And I'd like to tell you that he was one of the most giving men I've ever met in my life, and I'm sure I'll never meet another. But these are his brothers, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
Why?
Because they never came around except for when they wanted something. They never came around except for when they wanted something.
Okay, you'll get your
They did not attend our wedding, which hurt my husband.
Why didn't you attend the wedding?
He took it to Texas.
Took what to Texas?
Their wedding.
We had our reception in Toledo.
Went to the wedding in Texas.
And I went to a reception in Toledo myself.
Was he at the reception?
The reception
Not
in the
that we know of.
Yeah,
No.
I was there.
They did not come to his funeral, which hurt my whole
That's
family.
even worse.
Your Honor, we couldn't go to the funeral. She sent us a letter saying that she had filed a police report, and if we went to Ohio, we would be arrested and never see the funeral anyway.
I didn't say they couldn't come to the funeral. I had to make a police report because I couldn't let him take everything. I had to support myself after my husband died. He was the breadwinner in the family.
Right.
But they came and I said, please stop taking stuff. I didn't want to upset my husband.
Stop taking
Your
stuff.
Honor, this is a lie.
That's straight out.
That is not true. That is not true from the beginning.
Well, I'll get to you.
And he's a child molester too, okay?
Who? What?
Patrick. I have his record.
Which one?
The one at the podium. He molested my stepdaughter, and she'll never be right.
Did you go to prison, Patrick?
Right here.
Have you ever been in
Here's
prison?
the evidence, sir.
No, hold on. Listen to me. This is a good idea, Peggy, because I need to hear everything. That when I talk, nobody talks.
Okay.
Good idea. What have you been to prison for?
I've been to prison for a sexual assault.
That means beyond a reasonable doubt, there is no doubt that you sexually assaulted a woman or a young woman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How long did you spend in prison?
15 years.
Oh, my God. Was it a child?
Yes. Yes. And my stepdaughter. More than one child.
Was it for your stepdaughter? Was in addition to the child that you went to prison for? Now, do you want to now deny that you're a sexual predator?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You're convicted and spent 15 years in
one
prison.
case.
That makes you a predator.
It doesn't.
What, are you supposed to kill a few times before you're considered a murderer? All right, let's back up. Do you know how old the victim was in the case that he went to prison for?
As far as I know, there was more than one.
Yeah. Well,
here's the
do you know how old the victim was?
Here's
Peggy?
the case.
Oh, you've got it.
Yeah. Yes.
So you're a registered sex offender, Patrick?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have other convictions as well?
No.
You sure about that? Okay. Being a habitual sex offender. Not good to lie to me.
Solved.
You say they didn't come to the wedding in Texas, but the reception was in Toledo.
Yes, it was.
I got that. Your husband is lingering. He's got brain cancer.
Yes.
He's dying.
Yes.
When do they come around?
As soon as, this is the only time the family came. It was either the first or the second Saturday in June. The two of them drove up
from
Tennessee. And they loaded up stuff all day long.
What kind of stuff?
I said that, first of all, I agreed that they could buy a truck from my husband for $350.
Did they pay $350?
Yes.
Okay, so they buy the truck.
Yes.
Okay. And then what gets put in the truck?
All kinds of stuff.
Under your nose? Are you watching them?
Under my nose, I'm watching. I'm behind them, asking them to stop taking the stuff.
Cops. Somebody comes to your house and takes stuff.
I didn't want my husband to get upset.
So you're admitting that your husband knew?
Yes, my husband was there. My husband knew, yes.
Okay.
But he was not in his right mind. Are you there at the time, Amber?
I was there throughout periods of time when they were coming
with several vehicles, several times. They weren't there to visit. They weren't there to comfort. They weren't there
Why
for
would
him.
you take stuff from a dying man and his soon-to-be widow?
We wanted to come up and visit strictly. That's what we were coming up there for. And he says, I've got this stuff. I need to get it out of my yard so I can set this tent up. His whole backyard was completely full. There was no room for anything. So we were going up there to visit. He says, I want you to have this stuff. Come up here and get
What
this.
are we talking about?
We're talking about, there was a wave runner, a four-wheeler, and a truck. This is what he was talking to me
To
on.
get rid of a wave runner and a four-wheeler, sell it and make some money.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
Ma'am,
So you show up and take it to
no,
accommodate
we
them?
didn't take it,
Exactly.
ma'am. We showed up. Before we showed up, I'm talking to my brother on the phone. He says, we want you to have these things. She took the phone out of his hand and said, oh, you better come up with some money if you come up here, or you better not come. So when we went up there, I took money. And my brother wanted to give us these items that he had. Okay, she says no. I say, okay, well, what do you want for it? She wanted $350 for the truck, so we paid her. She wanted
Does
money
the truck
for...
run?
No. The transmission was out.
How'd you get the truck out of there?
We hauled it on the tow dolly.
That they stole.
No.
They stole.
Stole?
Yes.
From whom?
From us. The truck ran, but it didn't go in reverse.
It went forward.
Yeah.
It would go in one,
It
two...
would go to Tennessee.
Yes. Yeah. It would
No,
go
it wouldn't
forward
go.
to
Absolutely.
Tennessee.
What is it like when they're taking the stuff?
I don't believe that my dad completely knew exactly the details of what was going on. He wasn't thinking correctly. They didn't care what we thought. They didn't care what we wanted. That's what they wanted, and that's what they were going to get.
Let's see the police report. Thank you. All right. There is a police report here, Toledo, Ohio. On this date, the victim decided to sell items from their home to family members. The two suspects are brothers of the victim and came to purchase a car and a four-wheeler and paid for the items. However, while there, the two suspects decided to also take the listed items that were not part of the deal and continued to load items despite the victim's protest. Okay.
And
They come and they take items. What happens next?
I heard they were coming back to take the rest of the stuff, and I had to stop them.
So what did
I
you
made a
do?
police report.
Okay. And what did the police say?
The police said, if they come back, you call us.
And did they come back?
Yes.
Did you call?
I showed them the police report.
Did you
and I
call
said,
the police?
No, I didn't.
The police told you to call them if
Yes,
they
they
came
did.
back. And instead you showed them the police report.
said you
And as a
can't take a
result of
thing.
your showing them the police report, what did they do? Took more stuff?
No, I wouldn't let
They
them
left?
take anything else.
They left.
They didn't take nothing else.
Did they stay or
They
leave?
stayed in the backyard.
Visited with my brother.
For 2 days.
So you visited with, they visited with your husband? Mm-hmm. Okay, does anybody notify the family that he died?
His mother and his brother were there when he died. He died in my home.
So then, was there any discussion with his mother about the brothers, Phelan and Patrick, coming
They
to
wanted to take more stuff, and when they started talking about that right away, I said, please, please.
Did they come back again and try to take anything after that?
No,
They just didn't show up for the funeral?
no. I would not have had them arrested had they come to the funeral, ma'am.
Did
got
you
a
tell
call.
their mother that you would not have
No.
them arrested? Was there any discussion that the reason they didn't come to the funeral is because you would have them arrested and therefore you try to allay the fears of them by saying, no, I'm not going to have them arrested. They can come to their brother's
No.
funeral?
No.
Patrick, talk to me.
Very first time I ever saw Peggy, I walked in the house with my brother and was sitting in the front room talking. And when she comes in the front door and she sees me, she starts cussing and calling me every name she can at the top of her voice, marches through the front room cussing and screaming, gets in the kitchen, drops it off, cusses and screams all the way upstairs and shuts the door.
Why?
I don't know. That's the first time I ever saw her. I'd never seen her before that, and that's the way she acted.
During the years that you were with your husband, did he ever come to visit?
He was in prison. He was in prison.
How about Phelan?
Very rarely.
Would you
Very
like to
rarely.
stand up, please? Talk to me.
Peggy treated us all the same. We walk in, she starts cussing and heads for her bedroom. Every
that
time.
No, not at all.
Why are they saying this?
I believe that when they were all children, were molested.
That's a lie.
Okay.
Maybe that's why he went on to be a grown person that molested.
Property.
Go ahead, Patrick. Talk to me. Talk to me about this property. She is saying that you stole property.
We didn't steal anything. When we called on the phone, I talked to Parnell, and I said, Parnell, we want to come up there and visit. He says, okay, I got all this crap in my backyard I want to get rid of. I want to give some of this stuff to you, to my family, to you guys to have. And she got on the phone and said, you better not come up here without any money. I said, okay. So we went up there to visit. And when we went up there to visit, we talked about it. I got the four-wheeler, the pickup truck, and in this police report on that thing, it says right there that we paid for the four-wheeler.
Yeah.
But she's got me charged with stealing the thing.
You took 2 four-wheelers.
We did not. I took
Your
one
Honor.
four-wheeler.
How much did you pay?
I paid $250 for the four-wheeler, $350 for the truck.
What he's
Does anybody have a receipt?
No,
ma'am. There
I
were
paid
no
in
receipts
cash.
because it was family.
That doesn't
I
mean
didn't
you can't
figure
get
I
a
was going to
receipt.
need a receipt with my family.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm not so convinced they are your family. I'm not so
No,
convinced
no,
that anybody
absolutely
is
not.
going to weddings. People aren't going to funerals. People are showing up. I mean, I'm not so sure. Are you saying that your husband did not give them permission to take these items?
I'm saying that my husband was unable mentally to handle his business at this point in time.
You're saying that he wasn't of sound mind to give you
He
this,
wasn't.
to give them the
He
property.
wasn't.
Okay, and your defense is that not only was he of sound mind that he gave you the property, but that you paid for it. But you have no proof that you paid for it.
I got proof I paid for the four-wheeler in her own statement.
It says they came to purchase a car and a four-wheeler and paid for the items.
Yes, ma'am.
Paid for the item.
And paid for them.
They came to purchase and paid.
For those 2 items.
This is a problem, Peggy.
The 2 four-wheelers, they were
So now you're
both,
saying there's another four-wheeler.
They were both
Yeah,
not considered
There was
four-wheelers.
another four-wheeler.
You know, one of the things that I have learned over the years is there's nothing to bring out hatred like the death of a loved one and then the families turning into vultures trying to take property. I'm not suggesting that that's the case here. But here is the legal issue. The legal issue is whether or not the defendants, and I think not very highly of either of you, took property that belonged to their brother when he was on his deathbed. Is it fair that they should be able to take the property if the husband was not of sound mind? But there's nothing to indicate that he wasn't. Certainly he was weak. Certainly he was ailing. Certainly he was dying. And you have my utmost sympathy for that. But when you reported to the police, you reported that they paid for 2 items. You didn't do any of the things that you should have done to stop them.
I figured if
so
I told
now
them-
the issue for the court is, although my sympathies are with you and your daughter, and I believe everything you said, the law is not with you. The law is with them. There is nothing to say that your husband didn't give them the property. Therefore, my verdict is on behalf of the defendants. And don't you think for 1 minute that I have any sympathy for you at all, because I believe you weren't at the wedding. I believe that you weren't at the funeral. I believe that you're part of that family that comes in like vultures at the end. But at the end of the day, you do not win. The law is the law, and I've got to respect it. So ordered.